the next 6 minutes, I'm gonna reprogram your mind to be rich. But it's gonna be uncomfortable because making more money comes down to solving just one thing. It's called the theory of constraints. Every single person, business, team, government, and criminal faces this single problem. Here's how it works. I'll never be able to pour water faster than this bottleneck allows. That is a constraint. Remove it and water flows freely. You have a similar constraint, a single thing that's restricting the flow of money into your bank account. Seriously, people are constrained by one of two things. First, you're just not good enough. If you're not skilled enough or knowledgeable enough to demand a higher income, you won't earn a higher income. And two, you're your own worst enemy. You're held back by limiting beliefs, self-destructive behaviors, or other deficiencies that just need addressing. Any one of these means you're missing opportunities or just outright throwing your earning potential straight into the trash, which, in plain English, this just means you either have to, 1, get better, learn the skill, duh, or 2, take a long, hard look in the mirror and get out of your own way, you excuse-making piece of shit. Back when I started my first big business, a moving company, I immediately hit a problem. I hit a wall, like week 1. I couldn't keep up with the business and I was losing cash every single day. I'd read tons of business books. I had a deep understanding of business fundamentals, financials, a good grasp on marketing. But none of that helped. I had the skills, so my problem had to be something else. It was a belief that started because I grew up in a family where my parents were self-employed, which is great. That's a great opportunity. But it was common to hear the classic, if you want something done right, do it yourself. They almost never hired anyone to help them. And when they did, it was nothing but problems. So when I went into business, I had the same belief initially, but I quickly realized I need to get over this incorrect belief and hire good people now.
Well, you're hired.
Or risk my whole business failing. That simple switch of belief enabled me to profitably run that business for 9 years. 3 of those years, I made $150,000 a year in net income on 5 hours a month of work. Your constraint is always obvious in retrospect, but the reason why it's a constraint is because for whatever reason, you're blind to it. Your subconscious just doesn't want to admit that you're lacking, and your ego will screw you over and try to defend your biggest issues. This will happen. It sucks, it's true for everyone. But if you can identify your constraint, you're 90% of the way to solving it. Seriously, if you can just admit that you have a problem.
I am the problem.
You can solve that problem. If it's a skill issue, learn the skill. Duh, that's the easiest one. If it's a deep medical, psychological issue, go on Reddit and get advice from strangers like everyone else does. So I own that moving business and it's growing. I'm hiring people, I'm making good money, but I have a huge issue. I'm constantly being called to solve a million problems for my employees. The people that I'm hiring, I'm basically working for at this point. It could be something big and important like, negotiating on a contract, or something dumb like, hey, the Wi-Fi isn't working right. Any issue, I got the call. It was a terrible way to live. I was working 90-hour weeks. I started hating my business. I took a deep look at this problem. It didn't seem like a belief or some emotional issue because I truly felt I have what it takes to build an awesome business. It didn't seem like a belief problem. It had to be a skill issue. So I started learning. I was reading books about great companies, great businessmen, great business models, but nothing was solving my problem until I found this book. This book showed me how to systemize every single process in my entire business. It took a few weeks of work to build out all these different processes, but within about a month, I cut my daily work in half. I am not kidding you, this completely changed my life, and it taught me a trick that actually helps me identify my own constraints even faster. I'll explain that in a second, but just think about this. Within 6 months, I went from 90-hour work weeks to just 5 hours of work per month. I don't know what the math is there, that's like 99% more efficient, and I wasn't spending any more money. That was utilizing the exact same employees, just way better management. Solving that one problem changed my entire life. And it's the reason why I ever had enough time to start making YouTube videos. So in a weird way, it's like me solving that one constraint is the reason why you're here right now watching me, watching this video. That's insane. Okay. The trick to identifying your own constraints faster. Grab a pen and a piece of paper. Like, actually do this. Write down your goal, whatever it might be. Make more money. Then this next part It only works if you have the courage to see yourself for who you really are. This takes courage. Look at yourself in the third person as if it isn't actually you. Here's you, zoom out, look at yourself. That's just a person. A person with the same traits. They just happen to have the same traits, the same ideas, and the same personality as you. You're gonna give that person advice. It's not you, it's just that person who's basically the same thing as you. If you were someone else, what would you tell you to do? What are your obvious flaws? Write a list of all the problems. It's gonna be painful. And then start working on whichever flaw was the hardest to admit. Whichever one you didn't really wanna write down, start working on that one first. See what happens. Do this painful exercise and you will reprogram your mind to be rich. You'll instantly level up until you hit a new constraint. Because the uncomfortable truth here, there's always a next constraint.